All right, all right, all right. You are registered for our upcoming training. So looking forward to spending some time with you. And I wanted to give you a quick update, and then I'm actually going to take you up to the NAEA headquarters, and I'm going to introduce you to a couple of characters that I want you to meet. And I'm going to share with you something really cool, so hang with me here. So, but I want to give you an update on what we're actually going to be covering just to make sure you're going to be there. So we're going to be covering basically four main principles. One is I'm going to show you how to do the right things in the right order if you're wanting to build your business to over 100 transactions. There's a lot of ways to do it. There's only one right way to do it, and I'm going to show you that on the upcoming training. Another thing that I'm going to share with you on the training is two new ways that we're using to generate 7 to 10 closed listings per month. Now, this is the exact same system we're using currently to close last year $2.2 million in income, commission income on the listing side of the business. So these are two seller strategies that are going to help you build a predictable pipeline of listings in your real estate business. The third thing that we're going to cover is how to differentiate yourself from the competition in your marketplace. So one of the things that is the greatest feeling in the world when you're trying to build your business to 100 transactions is when the phone starts ringing off the hook with sellers that are already preconditioned and predisposed to want to do business with you. They already know that they want to choose you as their agent. So we're going to show you exactly how to manufacture that in your business, where when a seller does call you, they are calling you to list the house. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to show you some pretty cool automation and some technology hacks, if you will, to really automate the follow-up. So if you're really a busy person like we are, and you're busy out there doing it every day, and you're trying to figure out how to get all the work done, and you've got a bunch of leads coming in, and you're closing deals, and you got clients to call and take care of, we're going to show you how to automate and put some systems in place that's going to give you a lot of your time of your life back. Now, I've had a few people that have mentioned the 2 hours. This is 2 hours, Jay. Come on, man. That's a lot of time, man. I'm busy. I'm so busy. And I hear that all the time. So we're going to actually pull into NAEA here, and I'm going to show you a little trick. I'm going to show you how to get twice as much done in half the time. So this is a little productivity hack we learned really from a few different mentors, one of them being Darren Hardy and a couple others. So come with me inside here. I'm going to show you something. I want to introduce you to two of my friends. All right, all right, all right. Here we are in NAEA headquarters, and I wanted to introduce you. I told you I was going to introduce you to a couple of characters here. So I am going to seriously introduce you to these two characters, but I'm also going to introduce you to something that I learned really at the peak of my real estate career when I was selling over 530 homes a year. And that is the value of my own time. And really what we're going to talk about here today is I'm going to show you the value of your own time, and I'm going to help you to learn how to get things off your plate, maximize your day, get the most out of every single day. And this is something that will give you your freedom. So if you're working 14 hours a day, I used a quote that I heard the other day that if you're working 80 hours a week, you're not making more money, you're actually getting paid less for your time. So if you're doing that much work, if you're just burning the candle at both ends, hang with me here. I'm going to show you some of the secrets that I've learned over the years to really get the most out of every single day and to remove the chaos from your life. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to make sure that I give you at least the amount of time back I'm asking you to invest in the upcoming training that I'm going to be doing. So I want you there for 2 hours. It's going to be straight up training. There's no fluff here at all. It's nothing but me getting into helping you get listings. We're going to show you the system, exactly how to do it, so you walk away with some real value. So I'm looking forward to that. And this is my good friend Terry, the Time Vampire. So everybody knows a Terry, the Time Vampire. You have one probably in your life, maybe many. And Terry has the Flava Flav watch on here, the clock around his neck, because he's got all the time in the world. And this is the guy that always comes in your office, is hanging around, wants to just shoot the breeze, and has nothing better to do than to vampire your time. And I'm going to show you how to get this guy off of your back so you can get more stuff done. So, but first let's go through on a more serious note. That's a big vampire. He's actually I'm a little worried about this guy. So what's your time worth? So I'm just gonna make an assumption that your goal is gonna be to make $500,000 a year. I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that as well. You'll be able to do that on the training after I show you what we're gonna show you. But 500,000 a year is pretty easy to get to, actually. It's not that difficult. But I want you to look at it from the amount of time and the dollar per hour you get paid for your time and how much that's worth in order to be paid that. So, and if anybody who's making more than $500,000 a year, I bet you probably know most of the things I'm about to show you. So your annual income goal of 500,000, we're going to look at the total hours per week. We're just going to say you work 50 hours a week. It's a little bit more than 40, but I think most of us are overachievers and we're going to hustle and work anyway. So I'm going to use 50 as that. But I put in here 4 weeks off per year. Now, you probably, if you're busy humping it, doing 20, 30, 40, 50 transactions or more a year, man, you probably haven't had a vacation in a while, right? So I'm going to show you, so we're going to design our life and our business around what is it we want? Let's have a vacation or two at least, right? So maybe 4 vacations. Let's take off an entire month. So we're going to be aggressive with what our goal is here, but I'll show you why in a minute. The total number of weeks worked, so that's 48 weeks. Total number of hours would be 2,400. If you do the math, that means the value of the work that you do day in and day out needs to be $208 per hour. That's the value of work. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move over here to the 9 box, and I'm going to show you what is the highest dollar productivity work that you do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up on the screen now the 9 box, because there's no way in the world we could have possibly drawn this on the board and you actually seen anything. So let me show you what we're talking about here. Here's the secret to making more money in real estate. Now, I can show you all the things all the ways to make more money, get more listings, close more deals, get more leads, but those things are not going to matter if you're the one that has to do all of the work. So the 9 box is a way to look at your business and look at where you're investing your time. And if you notice up in the upper right hand corner here, that this is the high skill, high value work going on listing appointments, which is why we're going to be talking about that on the training. Listings is where the money's at. You can spend an hour or two with a seller and you can get paid a $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, $15,000 commission depending on your average sell price. So really all of these other activities, if you're also the office manager, you have to hire people, you have to recruit, put policies in place. If you're doing customer service, you got to call every one of your customers. You got to create property brochures. You got to input all your listings into the MLS. If you're the receptionist, that means you're answering the phones every time the phone rings. You're picking up supplies. You're paying all the bills. If you're the courier, that means you're putting your own signs up. You're putting lock boxes out. Listing coordinator, you're managing all the listing process, all those things. Closing coordinator, taking care of all that. You're making business decisions, buying leads, calling leads, converting leads. All of these are activities that are you as the business owner have in your business. You actually wear all of these different hats if we were looking at a work structure. But if you want to know what the things that make the most amount of money, these three boxes, the 2 buyer agent, inside sales associate, and the listing agent, those are the 3 things. Working face-to-face with buyers, working face-to-face with sellers, and making the calls to leads is the things that are going to drive the most value in your business. So we're going to learn how to delegate everything else and get those other things off your list, which, by the way, are also not $200 an hour work. So when you're doing a task, start thinking about, how much is this worth? What could I pay someone else to do the work I'm doing right now? All right, now let's go back to the whiteboard. So now we've looked at the 9 box. We know what the high dollar productivity work is. You know when you're doing these activities that you're making money. You know it's working. Now let's look at what's the stop doing list. So how are we going to decide what are the things that we're going to stop doing? And this is what I would consider. If you're going to create a stop doing list, start with the things that you don't like doing and the things that you're not good at. And also, obviously, the things that aren't worth $208 an hour work. So if it fits those criteria, we're going to start making a list of things that you're creating a job description for your next hire. This is probably your first hire. If we're going through this process, many times this will be the very first hire that you make. And you want to make sure that the skills that are needed to do that work, that they have that skill set. So as you start to do this, you're kind of creating the roles and responsibilities for that key hire. And this is going to be where you're going to start making a whole lot more money because you're going to be doing things that are much more productive. You're going to call more leads. You're going to get face-to-face with more sellers. You're going to take more listings. You're going to close more deals. When you take more listings, you get more buyers. You make more money. Okay? So we're going to focus on making that shift from doing all the work to start a stop doing list. Like this, there's no more. If it's not fun, you don't like doing it, you're not good at it, get it off your plate. Okay? So we're going to delegate those things. So the last thing in this is delegation. So when it comes to delegation, this is something that is really a pretty simple one question that you could ask to decide if you should delegate something. And that is, do I change the outcome? So do I change the outcome and put in an MLS sheet in a new listing in the MLS? Do I change the outcome if I'm banging a sign in the yard? These are things that you don't change the outcome in. Anyone can do the task, the outcome remains the same. So when you look at the work and the things that you should or shouldn't delegate, what you'll find is if you're really honest with yourself about that question, most of the things that you're doing on a daily basis, you could delegate and you could get those things off your plate. And that's how we're going to make the first hire to keep you where you can make that transition to get to 100 transactions. You won't do it if you're not delegating things and you don't have a key hire. You're getting some of these low dollar productivities we talked about off of your plate. So now let's go down to win the day. So this is a really important part of the process. As a matter of fact, I've got a book here that I want to recommend. So if you want to win the day, it starts with the Miracle Morning. So this is a book that was written by Hal Elrod. We were fortunate enough to co-author Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents. Michael Mayer, my business partner Michael Reese, whom you probably already know, and myself, we were able to join in and help writing this book. But this is how you start your day. If you want to win the day, it's all about how you start. So I'm not going to get into all the guts of this book. This is just one you need to read. It's an easy read. It's not a real long book, but it's going to give you really the keys to the kingdom, as I would say. And you know, if you're like me, you probably work really late. I used to stay at the office, always, getting more things done. You're trying to just get to the end of the day. You end up being here late working, and that's okay. But the Miracle Morning is where you really start to get this leverage around getting the right things done in the right order. And as you start to grow and you're getting to over 100 transactions, working on your business is more important than working in your business. In order to do that, you have to have a plan. And that's really what we want to talk about here to win the day. So you're going to have lists. You have lists of all the things that you're doing, right? And what I want you to start doing, this is what really made it clear to me on what things I needed to do and what things I didn't need to do and how to prioritize those things daily, so that at the end of the day, I didn't feel like, oh, I've got all these things I've got to do. I did a lot of work today, but I didn't feel like I got everything done. I know there's more to be done. And the way to do that is with lists. So you got a list. I know you got a list somewhere. You ain't just trying to keep it all on notepads and everything else. You got a list somewhere. But if you don't, you should get a list. Just print one up. You can just get any kind of a list where you can keep track of things. But what I want you to write on there is the dollar value of what that work is. So for me, one of the biggest dollar value activities I could do was taking a listing. So, if your average, commission is $15,000 and you have a potential listing appointment that you could put in your calendar today, or a calls even that you would make to get a listing appointment, that's worth $15,000, right? That's going to make it into your calendar today, okay? So you want to make sure that you're just putting dollar amounts next to the work. A price reduction is just as valuable. I used to have listings that would expire because I didn't really pay attention to the value. I already did the work. I already went out and met with the seller. There's not much more time involved other than a conversation, but I wouldn't get around to price reductions when the market was really slow back in 07, 08. If you were here in real estate back then, you know what that's like. So you want to make sure that you're keeping a list and you're putting the dollar amounts for that, and if not, who you're going to delegate it to. So you start writing down, this is for you. You give that to somebody, a couple times throughout the day, and you start getting these things off your plate faster, and more things will get done, believe it or not. And another thing, you might have this feeling of like, oh, but I do it better. I do this really well. I don't want to, know someone else won't do it as good as me. That's actually not true most of the time. You'll find when you start delegating, you'll be amazed at how well someone that you could delegate these things to can do once given the opportunity to do it. For instance, I could never have drawn the vampire or our next little friend I'm going to introduce you to here. So I delegated that because it's not something that I was good at or that I should be doing. So, all right, so prioritize. This is really important. Prioritizing and planning the day. What are your top 5 priorities today? Okay, so you have to have a goal and you have to have a top 5 priorities. Of all the things you have on all your list everywhere, what are the top 5 things, and then what's the top 1 of 5? What's the one most important thing that no matter what you need to get done today? Just taking a little bit of time and getting clear. When you have clarity, the end of the day comes and you actually feel like you got the right things done in the right order. Doing the right things in the right order is the key to being productive. If you're doing the right things in the right order, there's always work to be done. It never goes away. But where you probably have a lack of clarity And I bet you if you show me your calendar, I'd almost be willing to bet if you showed me your calendar, I could tell you whether you have clarity on what's the most important thing you should be doing every day. And if you're not putting things in a calendar, it's the number one thing that will give you your freedom. So that's, prioritize, plan, put things in the calendar. How much time will it take? There's a couple of great books that I recommend on this. One is called Eat That Frog. It was Brian Tracy's book about eating the ugliest, nastiest, hairiest frog first thing in the morning, and the rest of your day is going to be great because you don't have to eat any more ugly, nasty, hairy frogs. So put the worst thing, don't put it to the end of the day because that always gets pushed. You're toast at the end of the day. I'm just going to do that tomorrow. So you don't want to do that. You want to eat the ugly frog early, first thing in the morning. If you eat that frog, man, you're going to feel great all day because you accomplished the one thing you didn't want to do. And the calendar. So the calendar is by far the most important thing in my life. And I want to get real with you on this, okay? So, I have a 19-year-old son. I have a two-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. So I've got kids spread in all ages. I got a 12-year-old in the middle. And when I got into real estate, it's been 20 years now. One of the things that used to drive me crazy was running around with buyers and showing houses and open houses. And on the weekends, when I'd want to spend time with family or I'd want to go to one of my son's games or whatever the case may be, I kept feeling like I was getting pulled away from things that I had made commitments to do. But because I didn't want to lose a deal or lose a buyer, or I felt like I had to, I would show up and I'd have to leave and go show property or do this or that or the other. And until I started using a calendar and started putting everything in my calendar, because if you have an event to go to, if you have a vacation, if you have time, you just want to spend some time at home, whatever the case may be, with your wife, go on a date, whatever it is. Date night's in my calendar. This weekend, if there's anything going on, it's in my calendar. And I put everything in my calendar, so whenever somebody asked me, a client would ask, hey, could you do it Saturday? Could you come by Saturday? Actually, I'm sorry, my calendar's booked full on Saturday. It's also booked all through Sunday as well. I have appointments, and they're appointments. They're appointments with your life, okay? Put these in your calendar. So how about Monday? When you start treating your time as more valuable, so will everybody else. Until you decide that your time is more valuable, no one else will ever think it is either. You don't want to be as easily accessible as you probably are right now. You want to be more difficult to get availability with, because that means that what? There's scarcity. If anybody can call you any time of the day and get you to drive over to their house to come on an appointment or go show houses, then what's the real scarcity? They're just gonna run over you because there's no value of your time. So this is what I call having a pig-headed discipline about your time. And the old time vampire, which is the first character that I introduced you to, I used to have a few of these characters in my office that love to come in and sit on the couch and waste my time. And I can tell you this, the time that you spend with people that are wasting your time is time that you could be spending with your family. When it's time to work, it's time to work. Create a plan, reverse engineer the right things in the right order, get it calendared, and pick your top 5 and your top 1 of 5. Get as much of those things done as you possibly can. Things are going to take you off track. There's no doubt. This is real estate. You're going to have deals falling apart. You're going to have all kinds of things blowing up. You're going to have new leads coming in and all kinds of things that are going to take you off your task. And you want to just get better about planning for those things and putting them in the calendar, putting time in between appointments so that you have plenty of time. There was a point where I used to go on 5 listing appointments a day. That was the peak of my business, and I was able to schedule specific times where I would take those listing appointments, and I had an ISA that used to set all those appointments for me. I never had to work weekends unless I chose to, and I never had to work past 7 o'clock unless I chose to. So take control of your life, take control of your calendar, take control of your time, because the one thing that you can't get back in life, you can recreate anything but time. You can't get your time back. And if you want to be successful and you don't want to look up 10 years from now and see your kids grown and you're missing games or missing this or that or the other, then this is one of the most important things I could teach you. So I'm very passionate about time management. I am very strict about my own time. Every single day I'm focused on planning, being the best version of myself I can be and getting the most things done. And that's what I want you to do with your time. You have to do that though. That's on you. Pig-headed discipline, baby. That's what I want to see. All right, so now that's it. So here's what's going to happen next. I'm gonna send you a few reminder emails for the webinar, the upcoming training that we're gonna be going through. So I know you're busy, I get that, but I want you to block 2 hours, okay? I'm not gonna send we're not doing a replay or any of that kind of stuff. This is just straight up training, me to you, 2 hours, block the calendar. It may not go that long. That's giving us a little bit of time for some Q&A. I wanna answer any questions you have, but I'm gonna show you how to go out there and crush it and get more listings in your business, and I'll be there to answer any questions you have. Hopefully this was valuable, and hopefully I've at least earned the opportunity for you to invest some of that time back with me on this training. So I look forward to seeing you, and as we always say here at NAEA, I'll either see you at the top or from the top.